Hello, welcome to Gurukul's CAT 100 series, a series that's designed specifically to take you from your study room to the corporate boardroom. I am Prady Sharma and this is Verbal Mastery with Prady.
Hello and welcome back to another video of Verbal Mastery with Prady. Now today what we're going to do is this RC. This is a part of our 100 Days to CAT series. Okay, a series that's been designed specifically to take you from the study room to the corporate boardroom. Okay, now in case you want to take this up as a test, you can always go to www.thegurukul.org.in and sign up for the 100 Days to CAT test series. Alright, now in this test series, which is obviously free for all of you, this has been designed just to keep you consistent with your CAT prep and help you get those extra boosts in the percentile. Okay, we'll be uploading tests of quant, LR and verbal ability. Okay, 100 tests for 100 days. So all you've got to do is go there, take the test and watch the video solutions. Okay, now in case you don't want to take it as a test, you want to solve it along with me, all you need to do is pause the video when I ask you to pause, read the passage, jot down the main points and then answer the questions. Comment your answers in the comment box and then we'll look at the passage explanation and the question explanations. Alright, so let's start. So this is your first paragraph. Pause the video here, read this paragraph, jot down the main points and then we'll go forward into the second paragraph. This is your second paragraph. Pause the video here, jot down the main points. We'll go into the last paragraph of this passage. Now this is the last paragraph of this passage. Pause the video here, jot down the main points, then we'll get into the questions. This is the question number 1. Please pause the video here, jot down all the main points and then answer this question. Put down your answers in the comments. We'll go into the second question. This is your question number 2, a nice question. Pause the video, answer this question, then we'll move into the third question. This is your question number 3. Again, pause the video here, answer this question, then we'll move into the fourth and the last question of this passage. This is your question number 4. Pause the video here, answer this question, and then we'll move into the passage explanation and the question explanations. So, what does this passage actually talk about? The complexity of modern problem often precludes any one person from fully understanding them. What does that mean? That no one person can completely understand all the problems, problems that are there in this, modern world. Why? Because they're too complex. They have too many things to take care of. Factors contributing to rising obesity levels, for examples, include transportation systems, infrastructure, media, convenience foods, and socially changing norms, and human biology, psychological factors, all of these. So he's just trying to give an example. Okay, so this is the argument that he has presented, and these are the examples that he is giving to support that argument. Okay, so designing an aircraft carrier to take another example. So here he's clearly told us that this is another example. Idinko example and what cheppesadu. Requires knowledge of nuclear engineering, naval architecture, metallurgy, hydrodynamics, informatics system, military protocols, so many things. Okay, right. So here what is happening, there's an argument that's presented. Okay, then there's example 1 and example 2. Both of these examples are trying to substantiate or support that argument, right? Now, the second paragraph. The multidimensional or layered character of complex problems undermines the principle of meritocracy. Okay, now he's introducing a new idea. What is that? Because there are a lot of dimensions, okay, and complexity involved in problems, it is undermining the principle of meritocracy. Now, what is this principle of meritocracy? The principle of meritocracy is nothing but the idea that the best person should be hired. So just hiring the best person is not enough. Why? Because it's too multidimensional and too complex, right? So there is no best person. When putting together an oncological research team, again, till here we get our argument number 2. Yes, and then again from here we're going into the examples. Look at this. When putting together an oncological research team, a biotech company would not construct multiple choice tests and hire the top scorers or hire people whose resumes score highest according to some performance criteria. Instead, so what's he saying till here? from this part till here, that there's no one test that can be done to decide who is the best person. Right? Why? Because one test cannot actually assess if that person has all the multi-dimensional skills to solve those complex problems. Right? Instead, they would seek diversity. Now, this becomes another major idea that, okay, one person is not suitable to do the entire job. We need diversity. They would build a team of people who bring diverse knowledge bases, that means who know multiple things, tools and analytical skills. The team would more likely than not include mathematicians, that means it will include all these kind of people, okay? And the mathematicians would likely study dynamical systems and study differential equations. So what are they saying? Just because it's a biotech company, it doesn't mean that only biology people or only people with that knowledge will be hired, okay? They'll need people with different skill sets. So that different people with different skill sets come, they form a team, and then they can solve these complex and multi-dimensional problems. Okay, so let's go into the second paragraph now. Believers in a meritocracy might grant, so this believers in a meritocracy is people who support meritocracy. Okay, so believers in a meritocracy might grant that teams ought to be diverse, but then argue that the meritocratic principles should apply within each category. What does that mean? Okay, let's say that one particular task. Alright, let's say that if you want to do marketing, because most of you are preparing for your MBA exams, I'm hoping that you would understand this example a little better, okay? So we need people who are good at strategizing, we need people who are good at budgeting, obviously we need people who are good at running ads, okay? Now again, in each of these categories, if I have a test, okay, let's say that I have a test for each of these categories. Meritocracy, people who support meritocracy would say that give the jobs to the best people in each of these categories, which kind of on the face of it seems fair. But then what's he arguing? Okay, thus the team should consist of the best mathematicians, best oncologists, best biostatisticians within that pool, in that previous example. But that position suffers from a similar flaw. That means there is some kind of a disadvantage even to this argument. So we got an argument 3, but this also has a flaw. What is that? Even within a knowledge domain, no test or criteria applied to individuals will produce the best team. That means even if you are taking these 3 sets of people and you're making a team, this team may not be the best team. Okay, why? Because each of these domains possesses such depth and breadth that no test can exist. So what is he saying? He's saying that each of these domains, again, each of this will have a lot of depth and breadth. That means the amount of things that you got to know when you're doing strategy or when you're doing budgeting or when you're doing ads, it's too much, okay, that you can't measure it with one single test. Alright, so consider the field of neuroscience. Again, we start off with an example. Okay, so consider the field of neuroscience. Upwards of 50,000 papers were published last year covering various techniques, domains of inquiry and levels of analysis ranging from molecules and synapses up through networks of neurons. Given that complexity, any attempt to rank a collection of neuroscientists from best to worst as if they were competitors in a race must fail. So what is this example basically telling us from here till here? It's telling us that, okay, there are 50,000 different papers. Alright, now in these 50,000 different papers, obviously not everyone is publishing about the same thing, right? So one person has an expertise in one subtopic and they are publishing in that topic. So if I keep all the 50,000 papers together and I try to understand that this person is the best and this person is not the best, the person who might not be the topper might also have more domain knowledge in something with respect to the topper in that particular test. So that's what he's talking about. So what could be true is that given a specific task and composition of a particular team, one scientist would be more likely to contribute than other. Just what we've discussed right now. So here comes another idea. Optimal hiring depends on the context. Okay, so this is very important an idea for us both in life and in this passage. So optimal teams should be diverse. Evidence for this claim can be seen in the way that papers and patents that combine diverse ideas tend to rank as high impact. So he's again giving us an example, okay, that optimal teams, they need to be diverse. So if you look at the papers which are published, okay, or patents which have been filed, those which are high impact papers or high impact patents have a very diverse team of people working towards it. So let's go into the last paragraph. Yet, the fallacy of meritocracy persists. Okay, so fallacy is nothing but a wrong way of thinking. Right, so yet the fallacy of meritocracy persists. Corporations, non-profits, governments, universities and even preschool tests score and hire the best. So this is the fallacy of meritocracy. Okay, so what he has given as an argument, he's just given the example for this argument. This all but guarantees not creating the best team. That means this guarantees everything except creating the best team. Ranking people by the common criteria produces homogeneity. Homogeneity means what? People being the same in all aspects. Alright, and when biases creep in, it results in people who look like those making the decisions. So what happens? So people who are exactly similar will have similar biases. So when those biases creep in, people will feel that they are the ones making the decision. But actually what's happening? The bias is making the decision over there. Right? That's not likely to lead to the breakthroughs. As Astro Teller, CEO of X, the Moonshoot factory at Alphabet, Google's parent company, has said. So some guy, okay, now this whole point, this till from here till here, I can just replace it, okay, and say as someone said, or some CEO said. Okay, if I want to be a little more specific, as some CEO said, okay, having people who have different mental perspectives is what's important. If you want to explore things you haven't explored, having people who think just like you is not the best way. That means the author is repeatedly telling us that, see, taking the best person for the job does not mean taking the person who has the highest grades. It means people who can work well together in a diverse fields, okay, who have different experiences, different mentalities. If they work together, then you get the best team. Alright? So now let's get into the questions. Your question number 1. What, according to the author, is the fallacy of meritocracy? Now see, we have seen the fallacy of meritocracy right here, right? So the wrong way of thinking about meritocracy is that, yes, we need to have one test and we need to hire the best person from that test, correct? So let's look at the options now. The view that the superlative ability, that means the best ability of performance, should be prioritized above diversity when hiring people, okay, makes sense, although not perfect, so we'll just keep it aside for now. The view that problem-solving teams should be diverse rather than, so this is the opposite of what has been told. We don't even need to read completely. The moment he said problem-solving teams should be diverse rather than made up of the best people. Okay, it's an opposite answer. So we're going to eliminate this the first way. The idea that only the best individuals in a field rather than teams of people can solve complex problems. Now see, again over here, this is a very, very close option to what's being told in the passage. But then here the idea that only the best individuals, okay, makes this the wrong answer. Okay, best individuals from each field is what is also told, right? Yes, so only the best individuals in a field rather than teams of people. So he's completely ignoring teams of people. So meritocratic supporters would still not agree with this, right? So the idea that the best person should be identified and hired to solve the complex modern problems. Now here, this hits home. Now look at what's happening. The view that superlative ability or performance should be prioritized. Again, yes, here he is trying to make a comparison. But that comparison is not what we are making in the passage, right? Instead, what are we saying? One person cannot be chosen to do everything. We're not talking about the abilities, but about the person, right? So this option now can be eliminated. In this option, what's happening? The idea that the best person, the one person, okay, should be identified to solve complex modern problems. That's the fallacy, right? Because one person cannot have the knowledge of solving a very complex multi-dimensional issue, right? So this should be our correct answer. So the right answer is D. Now to move forward into the second question. Which of these, if true, would most strengthen the author's assertion that there is no best person for any job? That means what? If one of these is true, it would support what the author said, that there's no best person for any particular job. So every field of knowledge today is vast and complex, requiring a high level of understanding of each aspect. Great, very nice. He's told about the each field having a lot of difficulty, but it directly does not support that there's no best person. I can infer from this that there's no best person. So I'm just going to keep this aside for now. If I find a better option, we'll go for that. Training in a specific field of knowledge often ignores training people in soft skills such as effective communication, and almost all jobs require such skills. So if I'm not training people in other things, then how can I have that there's one best person? Right. So this is definitely undermining this. So I'm going to take this off. Complexity inherent in any field of knowledge today is too high to be adequately evaluated by any test. Now see, over here he is talking about every field of knowledge being complex and vast. Yes, he's not talking to me directly about me selecting a person. But this assertion is that I have to have no best person. That means some selection criteria needs to be met. Since that is not there in this, I'm going to remove this. The better option now becomes C. Okay, where the complexity inherent in any field of knowledge today is too high to be adequately evaluated by any test. So if I'm not able to have a test, then how do I have a best person? Right. Now let's go to 4. Training on the job in any field of expertise has been consistently proved to be more effective in creating people suited for the field than informing potential job seekers through academic courses on the subject. Again, even if you train and all, no matter what you do, that one best person being there is being highlighted in this. No, so you train, you'll get a best person. That's what this option means. No, so that cannot be taken. So the only option that actually fits is that, okay, there's no test that can measure, hence there's no best person. Okay, so our correct answer should be C. Alright, so which of the following best encapsulates the author's primary argument in the passage? So what is the primary argument or the main idea or the main argument that the author is making? Now let's go from D to A. Organizations across various sectors perpetuate the fallacy of meritocracy, leading to biased practices that favor candidates resembling the decision makers. See, first of all, no one is trying to take people who are resembling decision makers. Yes, they have biased practices, so this part is okay. But throughout, this option does not seem like the main argument. The main argument of the author is what? That yeah, there's no one person, diverse teams should be there to solve complex, modern, multi-layered problems. Right? So I'm going to eliminate this. The principle of meritocracy should be entirely discarded. Wow, this is such an easy answer to eliminate. First thing, entirely discarded in all hiring. This is such an extreme answer. The author has not taken such extreme use in the passage. So I'm going to eliminate this. Diverse teams, particularly in fields like oncological research and neuroscience, consistently outperform homogeneous teams in generating high-impact innovations. Great. Now, first things first, high-impact innovations. He's not talked about high-impact innovations in the passage. He's told that, okay, there are high-impact papers or high-impact patents. Fine, I may even consider this. But this is all just an example, right? This is not something that has the argument of the author. So I'm going to remove this. Now look at A. Meritocratic hiring systems, despite their prevalence, inherently fail to create optimal teams. Yes, that means though these meritocratic systems are there in place, okay, these are very widely available, they fail to create good teams due to their focus on homogeneity. Yes, again, because they are focusing on taking similar people and inability to account for the multidimensionality of the complex problem. So A becomes our perfect answer. A should be the right answer. Now let's go to the last question of this passage, guys. So please tell me in the comments how many questions you've gotten correct after you finish this one, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe to this channel. Okay, so the author uses the example of upwards of 50,000 papers. So yeah, why is he using this example? What is he trying to tell us by this example? So he wants to highlight the rapid pace of research increasing within a specialized field. Guys, let's focus once on that example here. Well, what did we understand when we were reading the passage from that example? That there are so many papers, there's so many subdomains, there's so much breadth and depth of that one person cannot actually get through all of it, correct? So he highlight the rapid research or pace of research is not the idea that he's talking about, right? So I'll just remove this. Illustrate the vast complexity of breadth of a knowledge domain, making individual ranking for team formation inactive. Yes, this is a valid answer. Let me just keep this aside. If I don't find anything better than this, then I'll go for this. Argue that no single neuroscientist can keep up with the entire body of research in the field. Perfect, I agree. But again, my whole point is this is very specific. Yes? Great. So here I'm talking about the vast complexity and breadth. Here I'm talking about no single person keeping up with the entire body of research. So both of these are still okay for me. Okay. Now let's look at D. Suggests that an overwhelming amount of information hinders any attempt to identify truly best experts. Again, this attempting to find best experts is not the point of upwards of 50,000. So now let's look at these two options. Most people get confused in CAT only in two options. So I'm just trying to tell you. Okay, I could very easily tell you what the answer is, but I'm trying to tell you how do you think when you're stuck in situations like this. So please pay attention. Okay, so here what's happening, we want to argue that no one person can keep up with the entire body of research. Fair enough. But here upwards of 50,000 people or 50,000 papers. That 50,000 papers has not to do with one person. It does not have to do with a person. Instead, it has to do with the field. Right? So we are trying to talk to you about the complexity that's inherent in a field, which means that C should not be our answer. B should become the right answer. Okay, so now that you understand how to solve this, hit that like button, give a thumbs up to this video, and I'll meet you in the next video.
Hope you enjoyed learning from today's session.
This series is designed to help you with your CAT preparation and practice daily. We are with you in this journey.
To watch the next video, click here. And to watch Gurukul's CAT 100 series, study room to boardroom, the entire playlist, click here.
If you learned from today's session, like, share, and subscribe.